once again with Mia's World on a hot, sultry evening in July. And we have the perfect guest because she's an author and a writer and a wonderful person in her own right. And it's Marcy Dermansky. So welcome, Marcy.
Thank you.
Her new book is Hurricane Girl. It's perfect for the weather today in New York City because it's really hot and sultry and thunderstormy, almost hurricane-ish, but no hurricane yet.
Yeah.
So we'll be talking with Marcy about her new book, Hurricane Girl, shortly. This is Mia's World. Welcome to my world. Welcome to the world of books, music, art, everything passionate. And welcome also, thank you to Jade Zabrich, my wonderful engineer, who's also a singer-songwriter. And what you just heard was one of my favorite all-time singer-songwriters, Alexia Bontempo, Brazilian, gorgeous Brazilian music, and that was I'm in Love Again. And Alexia, who's been on the show a couple of times, is performing in New York City, I believe August 4th, and we'll have to check that out, but look for Alexia Bontempo, and that's I'm in Love Again. So today is July 25th, and that's when we're taping, and it happens to be Carousel Day, one of my all-time favorite things in the world, carousels and merry-go-rounds. So just had to mention that. It's also Feast of St. James. It's Health and Happiness with Hypnosis Day. It's Hire a Veteran Day, National Culinarians Day, National Hot Fudge Sundae Day, National Wine and Cheese Day, and Pioneer Day in Utah, state holiday. Today's birthdays, it's Matt LeBlanc from Friends, right?
Yep.
Born in, he's 55, that's hard to believe. Estelle Getty from Golden Girls, born 1923, died in 2008. I actually went to junior high school with her son, Barry Gettleman. It was really Estelle Gettleman, but it became Estelle Getty. French singer and actress Yvonne Printemps, born July 25th, 1895. British-American jazz singer Annie Ross of Lambert Hendrickson Ross, born in 1930. Steve Goodman, the American folk singer, 1948, July 25, and American country singer Marty Brown, born July 25, 1965. Today in history, July 25, 1360, Jews were expelled from Breslau, Silesia. In 1854, Walter Hunt was awarded the first US patent for a paper shirt collar. In 1871, the carousel was patented by Wilhelm Schneider in Davenport, Iowa. In 1943, Benito Mussolini was dismissed as the Italian premier and arrested on the authority of King Victor Emmanuel III. In 1964, today in history, the Beatles' album A Hard Day's Night went #1 and stayed #1 for 14 weeks. 1965, Bob Dylan was booed by sections of the crowd at the Newport Folk Festival for performing with an electric guitar. And in 1997, scientists announced the first human stem cells to be cultured in a lab using tissue taken from aborted human embryos. And now our rhyming news wrap-up of the week. I've been rhyming the news for many years, so we always try to add some gloom to the doom. Gloom, no, we add some bloom to the gloom. That's it. Okay, here we go. Another twist in plot when Ben and Jen tied the knot. It took 20 years for the nuts, bolts, and gears to assemble and hit the right spot. J-Lo and her Cheri, honeymooning in gay Paree. They're looking swell near the Tower Eiffel. Isn't that how things should be? She took the Affleck name. Ms. Lopez is quite a dame. 2 Jennifers, 2 Beniffers. Will this garner further fame? Now, Meghan, what's the story? She flirted with golfer Rory. Was this extra PR and was it on par with her boyfriend chef named Cory? So did she have a fling? Was she expecting a ring or just promotion, just more commotion? Ms. Markle is a thing. A landmark going dark, the boathouse in Central Park will soon shut down. New Yorkers will frown. It's made an iconic mark. From rowboats to wedding location, it's created exhilaration in a city of grime and grit and crime. It was a charming urban vacation. It's merry-go-round day, so ride those horses away. The ponies are swell on the carousel. Now where is my Chardonnay? And that's the rhyming wrap-up of the week. And here we are on Mia's World, and welcome to Marcy Dermansky.
Hi.
I told you this when I met you via phone or Zoom or something, that you reminded me of the actress Carol Kane a little bit.
Oh yeah, I can see that. That's so nice. She's so amazing. Yeah.
She's lovely, and so are you. And
Okay.
Marcy is the author of several novels. It's hard to imagine since it's hard to write one. Very nice, The Red Car, Bad Marie, Twins, and recently released June 14th, Flag Day, Hurricane Girl, which I read. And, it's crazy because I basically read really slowly, really slowly. I can't finish a book in like 3 months. I read your book in about 3 days.
That's so nice.
And
Yeah.
it's just interesting because I think I feel very empathetic to the parallel passions of swimming pools, we both love, and doing laps in the pool, and red cars, and coffee,
Good thing.
and
Yeah.
pelicans, and Miami Beach, and there's a
Oh, yeah,
lot of
pelicans. Yeah.
interesting parallels
Right.
in my life. But anyway, let's go back to your bio, which is pretty interesting. I mean, you've done fellowships at the McDowell Colony and Edward Albee Foundation, which is really hard to get into, so that's impressive. You went to Haverford College and Master of Arts at the Center for Writers at the University of Southern Mississippi. God, you've done short fiction, anthologies, essays, anthologies. I love this one, the best-selling anthology, Goodbye to All That, Writers on Loving and Leaving New York.
Yeah.
Did you live in New York at one time?
I lived in Astoria for about 13 years in Queens. Yeah.
Oh, you did? I'm from Queens. So.
Yeah. Oh, you're from Queens. Yeah.
Yeah, from Bayside. So I get the Queens thing.
Just so you know, I have a friend who moved out to Bayside who's looking for a swimming pool. So maybe you can help me with that afterwards.
Oh, that is funny because I thought if I moved to Bayside, where is a swimming pool? So
she's saying that there's not. Uh-oh. Oh, well.
Oh, we have to find out. We'll research that. Fact checking soon.
Sorry, it's important.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then The Red Car, one of the former novels, was named Best Book of the Year by BuzzFeed, San Francisco Chronicle, Flavor Wire, Huffington Post. And I will say this, the New York Times Book Review called your book wickedly entertaining, read from first to last. So that's quite a coup, right?
Yeah, that was great.
Amazing.
Thanks.
So let's see. I've got a lot of questions for you, Marcy. I guess the first question is always, did you always want to be a writer, and how did you know?
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever want to be an Olympic swimmer, perhaps?
No, I'm not actually a very good swimmer. I can't do the flip turns. I'm not very fast. Swimming came later than writing. I think I always knew that I wanted to be a writer. Like I was the kid in elementary school where you'd have like an assignment to like write a short story. And then the teacher, it was pre-computers, would type it. And she'd say, Marcy, you have to write something shorter. Cause I think I wrote like a 20-page story about like a fish that like was a baby, and I wrote about fish and I wrote about elephants and I just loved doing them. And then we would bind the books. And so, yeah.
That's so interesting. I mean,
right.
Yeah, I mean, where the passion comes from, who knows? I mean, were your parents writers or?
I think my mom was always wanted to be a writer. And I think she could have been a great writer. I think it's like a really scary thing to do, right? Like it's still scary to me even now. Like today I had a hard time writing. And so I think that if people don't give you a lot of support, like, so I always grew up knowing my mom wanted to be a writer. So I kind of did but that's not why I wanted to do it. But yeah.
But it's sort of in the genes somehow.
I think it's in the genes. Absolutely. Thank you for phrasing that. Cause I think that's absolutely right.
And like, what do you structure your day so that like a certain hours of the day you write and that's disciplined or?
Yeah. Yes and no. When I'm writing a book, like I'm really disciplined and I really like to write in the morning because that's when I'm the freshest. And that's also when I know that I'm going to do it. Like today, for instance, I didn't start my writing till like 3. That's really stupid because then I just make all the excuses. But if you start early in the day and you're done, because I don't write for a long time. If I were to start at 9 o'clock in the morning when my daughter's in school and write till 11, I'm usually only really good for 2 hours. And then you have the whole day just feeling great about yourself. So that's what I like to do in the ideal writing day.
Wow. Yeah. But you also talk about swimming laps in the morning. So
everything has changed. Summer is not like the rest of life, right? Today I did swim laps in the morning because it was going to storm all day and I had to get them in. I actually changed my schedule. Like I think I wanted to write in the morning, but I had to get my laps in. Because once it rains or there's thunder, they close the pool and you don't know if they're going to reopen them.
Right. And
Big
so
risk.
is it far? Do you have to go far to swim?
You know, it's funny. I live in Montclair, New Jersey, and it's a town that normally has 3 public pools that are open. And I live half a mile away from a pool. But this summer, for really annoying reasons, I get distracted when you talk to me about swimming. The two out of 3 of the pools are closed. So it's now like a 15-minute drive to my swimming pool.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, so it's a bigger commitment. Yeah.
And the issue is in the news just today about the lifeguard problem. There was a 5-year-old who almost drowned yesterday.
I did not know that, but I'm really perplexed by how COVID is affecting everything.
Everything, including pools. I mean,
like, shouldn't people want jobs to like be a lifeguard? Like, I don't know why not. Like,
I agree. I don't understand it. It's such a
I mean, I want my teenage daughter. Well, she's almost a teenage daughter. That's my goal for her, is to take lifeguarding classes.
Oh,
perfect job.
She'd like to swim.
Yeah, and she get to swim. I was a lifeguard when I was like college. It's a great job. Yeah.
I think so. I mean, beaches, pools.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great training. It's hard.
Long breaks. You just get to, you get to swim. You have friends.
I know. I don't understand what's going on, but another thing to fact check.
Yeah. The world has gone crazy. That's just one reason.
It totally has. Yeah. So another question I have. Oh, I wanted to tell you that this is very coincidental, if you believe in, I know you don't, or your
I love coincidence, by the way. Love them. Like, I write coincidence all the time. More like so in some of my other novels. Well, in this novel, I just totally overlapped your question, but in this novel, there's a coincidence that almost all of the men are named Keith. Like, that's not really going to happen. But so coincidences, like, they're just as good in real life as in fiction. So now I'd love to hear yours. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah.
You think that's, well, we're getting a little heavy, but
that's
like destiny, like,
you'll
meet a couple of Keiths in your life.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, the coincidence that I was going to tell you is that I have a very good friend who used to be the head librarian in Woodstock, New York. And I happened to, out of the thousands of people that I met at the Westminster Dog Show one year, I asked somebody to take a picture for me with my an Irish wolfhound. And she happened to be the librarian at Woodstock. And now she's the librarian in Provincetown, Cape Cod. And I just told her I was interviewing you because, of course, she's a book person. And she said, I just read Hurricane Girl.
That's so amazing. Wow. Yeah.
I said, how did you come upon that? And she said, one of her good friends told her it was a great read for summer and she loved it.
That just pleases me so much. Like, I feel like this has got to be kind of like, this book is like, I'm so dependent right now upon word of mouth. So that's just amazing to me.
Well, here's the word of book cover.
Yeah. Crazy pink dots, right?
Hurricane Girl. And I posted on Facebook with my flamingo. So.
Oh yeah, the colors were good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so another question I love to ask writers, composers as well, is when do you like to, well, you talked about this when, but where do you like to write? Is it always at home? Do you go to cafes?
Well, it's interesting because that's just changed for me a lot. Like, up until about a year ago, I lived in an apartment. I live in a house now, which is amazing. But so I was completely a cafe writer. And
really? Like
almost like 95%. When I just went from cafe to cafes. I wrote most of Hurricane Girl in a cafe, except for the end.
In Montclair?
In Montclair. Yeah, you'd be surprised. Montclair is like a New York wannabe town. And there are a lot of cafes, for sure. And then COVID came. I wrote the end of this book in my apartment. And then I didn't write for most of COVID, honestly, because I was home with my daughter. That's not even the question you asked, but I always wrote in cafes. But now I have my own house. Like, I bought a house.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It is totally amazing. And so now I actually, like, the room I'm in right now is actually, this would be the 3rd bedroom, but it's my office. Like, I am sitting in my office. And so it feels almost like it would be like irresponsible not to write in it.
Yeah.
So, and it's mine, and it's still kind of like, I still feel a little bit funny writing. I'm going indoors to places. So yeah, I write at home now, but that's just like a brand new answer. Yeah.
Wow. I can't even imagine that because I've never had a house and I never had a separate room other than a studio. So
well, there's this whole idea. I mean, New York, right? You sacrifice a lot, and New York is super cool, but yeah, you get a lot more space when you're not.
Oh my God. But do you ever feel like, okay, in a cafe, I feel like it's so many distractions.
It's very true.
Did you?
I also have my noise canceling headphones.
That's the key.
which I wore all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, don't you want to keep getting up to get coffee, talk to people?
Yeah, well, not talk to people, but get coffee, go to the bathroom. Sometimes, you have a good table, and then somebody terrible will sit next to you. I mean, there's a lot of interruptions, I mean, it's never like guaranteed, but I don't know, there's something about leaving your house and taking your computer. You've already made like a time commitment.
Yeah.
And so you're there to write. And so that actually works on me. And
Wow, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And would you sit indoors or outdoors?
That was pre-COVID. It was always indoors.
Right.
Yeah.
And would you have to have a certain table or angle?
I definitely had favorite tables, and I would definitely come at times that if my face, that's the thing about not working from home. If my favorite table wasn't available, I could have a really bad day. I used to in New York City, there's a place that I wrote for years before I moved to New Jersey. Before I was a cafe writer, I worked at the writer's room. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yes, I have. Yes.
Yeah, and I worked there for years, and I loved it there. And now it's just not convenient for me. But that was the same thing, where it was a place that had about 40 desks. And there would be times when I would go there, and I had favorite desks, and I wasn't, inflexible. I had like 8 or 9 favorite desks. But if they were all not available, I would just like go back out and get a coffee and walk around the block, because I couldn't work at some tables. So yeah.
Yeah, I understand that completely.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that can make a person's not right.
Yeah, no, I know. Like when you were at Haverford, did you work in the library? Did you write in the library at all?
I didn't really write when I was at Haverford, which is interesting. Haverford is a liberal arts college, but it was very much not arts related. And the craziest thing about Haverford was that I literally took my first creative writing class my senior year. And Haverford's also like it's a school that's really tough grading wise. And I never really quite fit in, like on an academic level, I never felt up to par, but I actually got my first 4.0 my senior year in creative writing. So that was good, right? Yeah. So that was like a sign for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
College, I had a favorite library, of course, and I had a favorite room, and I had a favorite table. And is that your cat?
Yeah, that's my cat. They're wandering around, so that's nice. I've got 2 cats.
Oh, what are their names?
Ginger and Sunshine. And Ginger and Sunshine are in the book, by the way. They don't have names, but there's a big cat and a small cat.
No,
they're my cats. I put my cats in the book. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I had a cat for many years, tuxedo cat.
Yeah.
So I noticed the cats a lot, but yeah, I couldn't work at any other table.
Yeah, it's just human, I think, right?
Crazy.
It's hard, though.
But also the coffee thing, like, do you have to have coffee while you're writing?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And sometimes if writing is hard, then you want a lot of snacks. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's hard to be on a healthy eating plan sometimes when you're writing. And that's just an excuse. But I sometimes have trouble with that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God, I don't know. It's tough any way you slice it.
Yeah.
But it's also inspiring. Like do you shut your phone off while you're writing?
What's funny is I don't shut my phone off, but I definitely have this program. It's called Freedom. Have you heard of that?
No.
Oh, Freedom. I mean, there are also different apps, but Freedom is like you could pick a session and you turn off your internet, and that is really helpful. So I turn off my internet for half an hour. And then if I want to check my internet when I'm writing, because you can't bypass on your computer, then you can look at your phone. So I have absolutely shut off my internet and then looked at my phone, which is ridiculous. But I do that.
That's good though.
And I do that from home too.
Right?
Yeah, I recommend it. It's free or it's very inexpensive.
Freedom.
Yeah, Freedom. Yeah.
Sometimes free. So, okay. So this novel, I really can't sum it up. I don't know if you can.
It's funny because if you sum it up, you're just going to give it all away, right?
I know. It's just, okay. So let's not sum it up.
Okay.
Let's just say what I said on the Facebook post today was it's pithy, it's punchy, it's pizzazzy, it's humorous, it's touching. Yeah. And it's just like you want to keep going. I don't know. I think what I love, your style, it's very, like, there's a lot of short sentences and there's a lot of identifiable emotions and feelings and like really specific references that people could identify with. For instance, I'm going to read a little passage about memory. Okay, the main character's name is Allison Brody. We're not giving too much away there.
Okay.
And she bought a beach house in North Carolina. So almost all Allison knew about North Carolina was from a long ago vacation, and it was wonderful, her favorite childhood memory. The road trip had been insanely long, a caravan with another family. They had taken regimented bathroom stops. When she woke, she had been delivered to a house with an oval swimming pool and a view of the ocean. Allison remembered a large pink dolphin float in the pool with a cup holder built into it for drinks. All the parents got drunk every night and everyone laughed a lot, and the kids were allowed to do whatever they wanted. That's like, you know, it paints such a picture.
Mhm.
You got memory, you got the pink flamingo floating, the pink
Yes.
dolphin float, sorry. And just the childhood memory. It's very like the short, it's almost musical staccato almost, but it's just a really imagistic, and it's really fun to read at the same time. Let's see. Okay, let's go back to another question of mine before we get to other passages. Okay, big question. I'm sure it's a lot. How do you get ideas for your novels? Does it pop into your head one day, or do you keep ideas on file for future books, or how does that work?
It's a good question. So for me, the hardest part, honestly, is always starting a novel. Like, I don't know where I get the ideas from, and I really, really struggle. And when I finish a book, it takes me like a while, because I'll just sit and type and I won't have an idea for like years. I'm not even kidding, and it sucks, and I hate that. And I could probably be harder on myself. But once I'm writing, and once I say, okay, this is what I'm writing, then I just write and I get ideas. And I get ideas as they come to me. So I think like in this book, for instance, there's some stuff that's really shocking or surprising. And one of the reasons probably why it's so surprising is because it's surprising to me when I write it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I'm like, oh, and I love that. You know, I'm always startling myself.
So does that mean you don't outline in advance?
I don't outline at all. Yeah.
Structure?
No.
No.
No, and just nothing. I mean, sometimes when I get stuck, I feel like when I get stuck writing, because all writers do, is that's when I write pages that like don't have anything happen, because I don't know what I'm doing. And so a bunch of after I wrote a draft of this, like pretty much like the last 80 pages, in fact, I ended up cutting because nothing happened. Nothing happened.
Wow.
The main character had a new friend, and the friend had a kid, and they went out for turkey sandwiches, and like nothing happened. And
that's another thing we like together, turkey sandwiches. Yes.
Yeah, I love turkey sandwiches. I had one for lunch today, but my agent was like, Marcy, you had this big thing happen and you haven't addressed it. And once he said that, it wasn't just like, oh, I'll just fix that and keep the pages. I just got to a part where I cut stuff, and then I just cut it off. And then I didn't write any more boring pages. Wait, I'm picking up my cat. I'm sorry.
No, is that hard?
Yeah.
Now, is that hard for you to let it go?
In this case, it wasn't. Like, it can be. In this case, it felt really liberating because I kind of knew. Like, that's the funny thing. Sometimes you need somebody else to tell you. I don't have a lot of readers. Like, I have a friend who's a reader and my agent, and that's it before I submit a book. But when he told me this, like, I knew it, and it felt really good to just have them go. I could have made so that wasn't hard, but it can be really heartbreaking. Usually what happens if I get stuck in a book is I just put it away. And so I've started books and not finished them. But in this case, I just cut the pages.
But I mean, that is so interesting. Like, you literally, when you start it, you're not sure where it's going to go.
Yeah, I don't have any idea. No idea. I mean, what ended up happening with this character is she writes scripts, and it turns out the script she wrote is a horror film. And so that kind of gave me direction, because all of a sudden, don't need that. I was like, oh, I'm writing a horror script. So then I put, this is the first book I ever had that has elements of horror in it. And that's because I think it's like anytime you put something in a book, like something that's important, you have to keep using it. You don't want to introduce a character and not come back to them. It's like everything you use, you want to bring back. So because I made her a horror writer, suddenly I was writing about horror, and I didn't plan that. But then once that clicked in my brain and I knew I was writing something that was scary, I got really excited.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great, because I get so tired of hearing everybody say, okay, we outlined this, we structure this A, B, C, A, B, B, A, you know.
I mean, I think that just takes all the pleasure out of writing for me, you know, if I'm not surprising myself all the time.
Yeah. Well, that's encouraging to hear for people who are not so structured, you know.
Right. Yeah. I don't believe in it, but I believe everybody's process is different, by the way. Like, I know that my process my process. I know it wouldn't work for all people, you know what I mean? And then sometimes what's in like the books about how to write, when I read that, I'm like, well, that wouldn't work for me.
Right, right.
So,
How do you know when you're done?
You know, when I'm done, I pretty much know the ending. It's like interesting, like this book, almost all of my books, the beginning is like the first few scenes are written over and over and over again. And I mean, I didn't write the end in my first draft. I wrote it in my second draft, but once I wrote it, it was right. Like I just went over it and I like fixed sentences and tweaked it, but you just know that it's done, and you just get this feeling. It's like, oh.
Did you ever want to write a book with a sequel?
You know, I haven't, but sometimes I think it would just be such a good idea, because I never end my books where they're over. Like this book kind of leaves it like people want to know what happens, and I don't.
Kind of,
But I feel like if I were to write a sequel, it would be like cheating in a good way. Like I wouldn't have to start from scratch. And so like when I struggle to start a new book, I think, why don't I write a sequel? I think I just want to make things hard on myself. So I'm not against it, but I haven't done it. Yeah.
Interesting. Now, what about your daughter, Nina? Does she give you input for any of your writings, or give you ideas for stories?
No, she's trying to give me ideas for like a new book. And then sometimes she'll just sit down and write for like school, and she'll be like, Mom, this is really easy. What are you complaining about? So she's very totally supportive. But otherwise not so much. And there's going to be an interesting point where she's turning 13 really soon, where I haven't had her. She's going to grow up in like possibly, but maybe not when she reads my work. That's going to make me really nervous, but we're still not quite there yet, because I guess she's not even interested in what I write. So that's good. Yeah.
So do you ever give her a chapter to read?
No, never. Oh my God. No. Like with this book, she picked it up, came in a box, and she started reading the first 2 pages. I actually filmed her. It was really funny, but the dread I felt listening to her read my book, and sort of in the sarcastic voice of her, like kind of made me want to die. I was like, stop reading. Like I was yelling at her, like, stop. Yeah.
It's too close to home.
Yeah, too close.
Wow. Well, when she's 13 or 14, that will be interesting.
I can't stop her. Like the books are all over the house. I'm not going to I can't stop her. So yeah, it makes me nervous. Absolutely makes me nervous.
It's funny because I think it was Montclair. I actually got a library degree, and I think that Montclair was the library. One of my first interviews was at the Montclair Library.
Really? Okay. Yeah, I live about a mile away from there.
Right. Great library. So let's see. There's another. Let's see. I want to read something else. These are short, very short. But, they're just fun to like little passages that make me happy, or make me want to read more. Like somebody in the book that Allison encounters, and she says, Allison looked at the card, Jim Smith. That was really his name. She had the urge to ask him how he spelled it.
That's funny, right? Yeah.
It is funny. It is. That's what I mean. There are these funny passages out of nowhere. It's like, why didn't I come up with that right?
Well, I can't try to be funny too. That's a funny thing, is that if I tried to be funny, it probably
wouldn't work, right? No. I know. Yeah. Let's see here. Let's do another one. Page 21. Also, I like that they're shortish chapters, because it just propels you to move on,
This is the book that I have that has the shortest chapters of them all, I think.
Okay, here. This is like a 2-page chapter.
Okay.
The last paragraph of the second page.
Okay.
Allison had a choice to make. He was surprisingly fast. Allison followed him. She did not follow her plan, but she was already completely off course, so that would have to be okay. A new cell phone charger was not much of a plan, really. I mean, they're just like little observations that, they're so specific and identifiable, but you wouldn't necessarily write them down, but you do. So.
And if she remembered that she had a cell phone charger, the whole book would be different, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. This also, I love this too. Laurie was right. Still, you could get away with things in life. Allison had had sex with an Australian man who owned a hotel on the island, and it had been good. After, he bought her dinner at the hotel restaurant. That part had been wonderful. The meal. Like, it's funny. It's just funny. Short, punchy. That's what I'm saying, Also, how do you choose names of characters? Like, you've got a great name in the local news reporter. Is it okay if I mention the name?
Sure.
Tabitha Crosby. Like, that's so local news reporter name, you know?
That's good. Yeah. So Tabitha's a funny one just because Allison was going to be a stand-in name. Allison wasn't a name that I was going to keep. And sometimes Allison is a name of a friend of mine. And so, and the character, by the way, has nothing of Allison. Like yeah, just nothing, but I just like her name and it worked for me. And then when I finished the book, I was like, I asked her, I said, and I almost always change things, but in this case, I said, can I keep your name? And she said she'd be honored. But my friend Allison actually has a daughter, and her daughter's name is Tabitha. And so since Tabitha only has like about like 3 or 4 lines, right? That's how, yeah. And then Crosby, it does sound like a Southern name, doesn't it? Or
yes,
TV. Yeah.
But I'm saying, is it hard for you to come up with the name?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes it's hard, and a lot of times what I do is I pick a name that I'm attached to, and this happens to me a lot. And usually I change them. This was a really rare occurrence where I didn't change the working name.
Yeah, because like if you
find and replace, you know.
Yeah. But like if you have a tentative name and then you'll sort of tweak it or work.
Yeah, absolutely. I do that a lot. Yeah.
Because it does make a difference, I think.
Oh, it makes a huge difference. And I've had wrong names, and like what I'm writing right now, the names are like they're a real problem.
Yeah, like the woman at the wedding. I'm trying to remember her name. The bride's.
She's Tracy, right?
Yeah, Tracy.
For the longest time, her name was Stacy, and then I made fun of the name Stacy. And this might sound really goofy, but I felt like I couldn't keep the name Stacy because I insulted the name Stacy, and then like a recent hero is going to be Stacey Abrams, so I just didn't want to insult the name Stacy because of a politician. That's ridiculous. But
no, that's an interesting point, because it's like with naming babies, you know, people in the news or celebrities or people you know. It's kind of a personal thing. And
I think I even turned the book in to be published, and her name was Stacy. And I was I have a production editor, and I was like, what do you think, Stacy or Tracy? And she said Tracy. I'm like, good. And so then it was just very random, random last minute.
Remember the movie Philadelphia Story with Catherine?
I love Philadelphia Story.
And wasn't Tracy the young niece, or you know who I mean?
That was a long time ago.
Well, yeah.
For me, having watched it, I mean,
great character. So like, it's so names with characters.
Somebody today on Facebook, a friend of mine just pronounced that her favorite movie today. So now it's not a huge coincidence, but that's come up twice in one day.
I know,
cool. But I don't remember a young Tracy, and I believe you're right. You know,
pretty sure, but I like subconsciously I
think her name Tracy, the main character.
Well, now
we're gonna interview, so we shouldn't Google it.
Look this up.
We'll look it up when we're done.
Yeah, definitely. But like when you have associations, positive, negative, whatever,
they make a big difference.
I know. Like,
and so I'm often just swapping names in and out as I write, like constantly.
Yeah.
And sometimes like spell check won't catch a name, or an old name will show up, or I definitely do that, like in the early drafts. Those are kind of mistakes that I make.
Oh my God. I mean, there's so many elements of writing a book. It's just like with your daughter's name, Nina. And when I first met you, I told you one of my favorite classical music pieces is the song Nina by Pergolesi, and just this gorgeous piece of music. And so I have a very positive association with that name. And
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. No, I'm looking up Philadelphia Story here as
you are. Okay.
I can't. Tracy Lord.
Yeah, it is Tracy. Yeah, I thought it was her name. Yeah.
You're right. I'm thinking.
And I just insulted the name Tracy in my book, and she's such a great character. There are always exceptions. Yeah,
but it's such a that's another great scene where it's really interesting because you talk about karma.
Yeah.
So like out of nowhere, you're like talking about karma, and it's sort of.
I can tell you where that came from if you want.
Yeah, I'd love to know.
That was just one of those. I think my sister in the acknowledgments. That was one of. This has never happened to me before, writing wise. Where I was just in a stuck place, and I was talking to my phone on the phone with my sister, and she said, "Write about karma." And then she actually said, what about the Holocaust? Like she went on a rant on the phone, and I put my sister's rant into the book. And so, and that scene, like some people have written to me and said that's one of their favorite scenes in the book.
It is a great scene.
It's a great scene. Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It sort of comes out of nowhere, but yet it has a purpose because of the interaction with Allison and the bridesmaid. And it's emotional, and yet it's very realistic.
Yeah.
And it's just, and then of course, her examples of backing up why she does or doesn't believe in karma. It's just a really, and it's not too esoteric. It's just
Right.
very,
And she contradicts herself in her thoughts all the time. Like she doesn't believe in karma, but then she thinks, why did that happen to me? I should. So it's kind of interesting, right?
yes, yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Right.
Is that Ginger over there?
That's Ginger. Yeah. He's just been sick, so that he's in this room with me is making me so happy.
Oh,
Yeah,
is he
like
better?
he's not 100% better. But he's much, much better. And this is the first day since he came home from the animal hospital. I mean, he was sick. He came home on Saturday and he just came upstairs. He's been hiding under the couch.
He knew we were doing the show.
Yeah, he wanted to be on TV.
And also, do you feel like, do either of your cats get jealous while you're working? Like, do they want your attention?
My other cat, more so than this cat, likes to like sit on the computer and shut the keyboard down and like cause trouble. Absolutely. They're cats.
Because I don't know. I've never had a dog, but it seems like dogs might be more like that than cats. I don't know, because cats are independent, right?
I haven't had a dog as a grown-up. Like as a kid, I had them, so I don't know how they affect work. Yeah, but I do know that like cats like to walk across computers, and you better save your stuff a lot because Sunshine can just step on the shut the power off key. And
oh my God,
that to me.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Englewood, New Jersey.
Oh, so not too far away.
Not too far. I'm from New Jersey. Yeah, I never thought. I mean, I only went to college in Pennsylvania, but I did live in San Francisco. I never thought that I would like somehow come back to New Jersey.
And here you are.
Here I am. I like New Jersey now. Yeah.
So I know this is kind of a trite question, but you know, some of the novels are much of your novels are, you know, based on your own.
Well, here you go. Like this novel goes back to New Jersey. I'm from New Jersey. It's always kind of like a mix. And what I like is that, I mean, in interviews, I can give myself up, right?
Yeah.
And I often do. And sometimes I feel like I'm too forthcoming, but it's always both. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's tons of things that didn't happen to me. And then I slide in the things that are true. And so most of my readers, like I'd say like 95, you know, aren't people that know me. Right. And so I like that.
That's
right.
That's right. I don't know which part is.
Yeah. Except then if you look at my bio and like right now, if you talk to me, you know, like I swam laps today, and this character is like in a relationship in Hurricane Girl because she wants a swimming pool. Like I've gotten kind of ridiculous about using pools. Like it's sort of getting a little bit hard for me to like I want to start going further away from my life when I write rather than closer. And this book in the middle kind of uses a lot of stuff from my family, my childhood. And it's not my preferred way of writing, honestly. But one thing I won't, like, it's interesting. I think it was like Robin Black who wrote a book about how to write or the craft of writing. Right. And she once said in an interview or at a reading that she thought that there was more truth in fiction than there was in memoir, which I thought was nutso. But then, like, I'm never going to write a memoir. Like, I can't even imagine, like, sitting down and I mean, I'm thinking my life is kind of boring, but I just can't imagine, like, revealing myself like that. I really can't. But then you put so much truth in fiction. It's just like the whole essence is your truth, I feel like. So.
Yeah, I mean, how could you not at least put some of yourself in? Right?
Yeah. Or how is it going to resonate?
And also, then you know, like I know, again, it's sort of trite, but then you know of which you're talking. You know what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like you know what laps are like. You know what pools feel like. You know the exhilaration of swimming.
It helps. I mean, fiction writers do research, and like I'm not like big. I haven't done this yet. Like sometimes what people will write a character who has like a career that they don't have, and they will do tons of research. And I think I'm just sort of like lazy, and I haven't done a lot of research. I've done some research for all my books for sure, but not a lot. But there's that, or if you don't know what it's like to swim, like I think if you were going to write a book about a skydiver, there are writers who totally do crazy things to like.
Right. Yeah. Well, on that topic of facts and research, you have a fact in there, and I wondered if that's true because I didn't look it up, but it was really interesting. Mm-hmm. That Allison knew that statistically red cars got pulled over more than other cars. Do you think that's true?
I think I've just heard that a ton. I don't know if it's true. Don't you hear that? I think it's just like a known fact. I have no proof.
I don't even know what's true and what's not,
I think that's true, but
maybe. Now, that was one of your books, Red Car, right?
So you haven't read that?
Not yet.
There you go. I think so. Like with DVDs, they have these things called Easter eggs, or like they're things that like super fans can.
Yes.
this is why I like to be a writer, is that when I'm writing this book, the character needs to rent a car. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it wasn't planned, she's renting a red car. And I have a whole novel called The Red Car.
I know.
And it's not a coincidence. And like what kind of car she rents, if you read The Red Car, you'd be like, oh my God, is that the red car? Like everybody in the book wants to know what kind of car she rents. And that's what it was. Right. So that was really fun to write. And people who love the red car, like they got something out of that you didn't get, you know what I mean? So it was really, and I got something, it was just so thrilling to put that in. I think that's the first time I've ever crossed 2 books over. So yeah.
Now, do you have a red car?
I have a silver car. No.
That'll have to come in there somewhere, right?
Yeah. Silver. Yeah, they have. I've had silver cars in books before for sure.
You have? Okay.
Yeah, because to me, you have a silver car. That's what characters have. I think the mom in this book has a silver car.
Yeah.
Like no other cars to have. Yeah.
That's funny. Now, do you like to drive? Okay, let's go back.
Okay.
Have you ever lived in North Carolina?
I've never lived in North Carolina. No. I just know that that's a place with a lot of beach towns. I've never been to a beach in North Carolina. Did some research. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of beach stuff there.
And I just imagine that it would be affordable.
Well, certainly more than New York,
than like New Jersey beaches or Long Island. Yeah, right. Like it just seemed in the realm of possible. Like people are always finding things when I write something to say that's just not possible. And nobody came up to me and said, no, it wouldn't be possible for her to pay for this house. And so I, didn't get any pushback on that. Yeah, but I've never been to a beach in North Carolina.
Wow.
You see, I do make things up.
Yeah, no, it's
so
great.
Good. I like to be able to answer that question that way.
I like that. I know it's another little smidgen of trivia, but like I like that she had this favorite coffee mug, and it's sort of in the back of her mind about what happened to it. And I won't say what happened to it, but I guess I'm a coffee person. I'm also a mug person, and I'm also I like my favorite things. So when they disappear, it's like annoying and upsetting. Yeah. So just little things like that.
Yeah, those places. I mean, that is my favorite coffee mug that we described in the book. It's got like a fish and a border. That's my coffee mug.
That's your mug.
Yeah.
Now we know.
Now you know. I don't mind people knowing that, but like that's the kind of thing that when you write, I mean, I love to write. Like I love to write, but that's the kind of thing like sometimes people will ask, this is a question writers are asked a lot, is who is their audience when they're writing?
Oh yeah.
I think my main audience is honestly me. So I'm always writing for myself. Well, so I'm pretty lucky that what I write for myself resonates with other people,
Well, yeah, I think a lot of people resonate with your ideas and observations and so.
Right. But I'm not trying to please others. I mean, I must be, but yeah. But I'm pleasing myself as I write. Yeah.
Yeah, which is great.
Because otherwise, how could I have this crazy job, right?
Yeah.
I have a friend who's like a pub writer. She's published like 5 books, and she has a full-time job. And she works like corporate work. Like I don't even know how she does it. But what she says to me often is that she actually hates writing. She loves to have written, and that's just not true for me. So it's just really
enjoy the actual process, right?
Yeah, I love the process. I mean, I find it really hard to sit down to write, and I waste a ton of time. And I don't know why that is. Like, I feel like not past go, but I feel like by the time you've written 4 novels that you shouldn't feel dread when you sit down to write. I feel like I should be past that. Like that seems really unfair.
But actors, stage fright, you think you should be over it, but you're never over it.
You're not? Okay, yeah. Well, that seems stupid too.
Right?
That doesn't seem right. I guess that's what makes it so good if an actor still doesn't feel that kind of like fear. I think fear is really helpful for artists, unfortunately, because it's not pleasant.
Yeah, I know. Well, it goes back to the blank page. Who was that?
Absolutely.
Baudelaire, Mallarmé, one of them.
All of them.
Right?
Yeah.
So what did you study? You studied English literature?
Yeah, I studied English literature in college. And I feel like deep down, I read all these books in college, and I read a lot of books that I didn't like, I don't know. And I studied English because I didn't know what else to study. Seriously, I could have been a psych major or a history major. And if I could do it again, I feel like I should have learned more, because I feel like I already had that itch to be a writer, and I was already going to read books. And I wasn't going to read the books that I didn't want to read. And maybe I had this really expensive education, I could have learned something. I mean, there's no saying, like maybe if I'd gone back in college and I had learned something, I might have had a different career. That sounds so, I mean, I must have learned something as an English major, but I feel like I didn't, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, well,
yeah,
that's a big topic. What if, or could
yeah,
have,
right.
could
But
have.
so yeah, I studied English literature, and then I definitely did go to graduate school for writing. And that was a funny thing because most writers, they get MFAs, which is a
Right.
Master of Fine Arts.
Right.
And I got a Master of Arts, and I applied to tons of MFA programs. And the reason why I went to a program that was a Master of Arts was because of the teachers. I studied with Frederick Bartholomew and Mary Robeson, who are writers that I love and aren't as well known now, but I loved them and I wanted to study with them. But the stupid part about that was that it was a master's program and I had to take like classes, like real classes. And I just, just barely did the minimum of work to like get grades in them, like, but yeah, I hated that. I had to do that, but I didn't get the fine art degree.
But what does it matter in the end? I mean, it's like how motivated you are and your passion for writing.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Or
right.
What's funny thing is that way back when, like when I was sort of like had one book or two books, I applied for teaching jobs, and so many people apply for teaching jobs, and they want MFAs or they want PhDs, and I wasn't quite famous, so I think my having an MA made it harder for me to get a teaching job.
Did you want to?
Well, it just seems like what kind of jobs you don't really, until you get far along in your career, and I'm still not far enough, you don't make enough money writing that you need another job.
Exactly.
And so almost all fiction writers that I know, not all of them, but like 80%, 90% they all teach at college level or something like that. And I never went that route. So, I mean, one way that we sort of met each other was that I do developmental editing, and that is like my skill.
Right, exactly.
And what I found out is I've done some teaching, and teaching is really draining. And then when I had my daughter, it was really hard for me to teach. And that was actually when they made the transition where I stopped getting like adjunct kind of jobs and just started getting development editing jobs because I could just do them from home. Like you could do it with spit up on your clothes. Do you know what I mean? And so it was sort of, and then I just stayed with that. I stopped trying to teach. So at this point, I probably have enough books under my belt. Like I probably could get a teaching job, but I just don't apply for them. Yeah.
And did you ever want to do like a corporate job, like you said your friend does?
Oh God, no, corporate jobs and me. I did some corporate work like before I went to graduate school when I was like 28 or 29, which isn't like old, but that is all the time, like between 22 and those years, I worked in offices, and I was never
not a happy camper there.
No, not a happy camper. Yeah,
I know.
I took long lunch breaks. I got in trouble a lot, Yeah.
Yeah, there's the people who like corporate and people who don't. It's like that simple.
I always wanted to go home at time, and like they always want people who like finish the job and then go home. I'd be like, time to go home.
Yeah, exactly. Like
that was always me.
I understand totally, because I worked a lot of corporate jobs, and it's like, what do you mean 1 hour for lunch?
Oh yeah, I was always taking
out of half, right?
Yeah. Well, after grad school, I did have one corporate job again, and I was working in Chelsea, and there were just so many good places to go out for lunch.
I know.
Yeah.
You do that in an hour, right?
No, totally not. Yeah.
You take it out. It's like half an hour to take it out.
Right.
It's very funny, actually.
Yeah.
Your cat looks very intent.
Oh, good. I'm so glad you're upstairs. It's so good.
So cute.
He looks healthy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks really happy and healthy.
Oh my God.
Happy to be alive and well, right?
Yeah.
And on camera too, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. I want to maybe read one more.
Okay, great.
Where are we here? I love, excuse me, so many passages here. The last thing she saw before she fell asleep was her water bottle. It was on the floor in the corner of the room, her favorite water bottle with the little pink flowers. She had thought she had lost it forever, but this was where it had been all this time. This was the missing piece of her life, and she had gotten it back.
That's a huge passage. It's almost, yeah.
It's like, oh my God, it's like a jigsaw puzzle, but it's a water bottle. But
you're getting like, you're really good at what you're picking, by the way, because you're picking parts that I like especially love.
Oh, I'm so glad. I am so glad. Well, they're not. It's not hard to pick because there's
Right.
so many passages.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. It's hard to
Sorry.
explain when you like a book. How do you
Yeah.
explain what you like about a book?
Right. It's hard, right?
Were you influenced by any particular authors or writers, or do you have favorite? That's another.
That's always a hard question, but sure. I mean, I actually really love Mary Robeson's work, and she was like a really good teacher, and she helped me keep my stuff short.
Ah,
And Rick Bartholomew was considered a minimalist writer, and I think that I don't think of myself that way, but I love that.
you told me there was a quote you mentioned of his, which of course now I've forgotten.
Oh yeah, I think I know what the one you mean. Because I said it in another interview, if you were background checking me a little bit, which he once said that like the first paragraph, like even the first line, that was the place to start. And
Yeah.
that was a huge influence to me, because I think I was writing a short story and it sort of was at somebody's 50th birthday party. And I think I mentioned the 50th birthday party, like in the third paragraph. And he's like, first line, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I find that like, not even just when I edit, but like books that are published, I think like things always start a little bit too slow.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
there's so much going on here. It's like and then of course the usual trite thing that people say when they love a book, I'm so sorry it ended. Like, what?
Yeah.
It's over?
It's a short book. So yeah.
What's that?
It's a short book.
Well, it's not that short if you're writing it. I mean,
That's true. Totally.
29.
I actually had to work to make that book longer. It was a little bit shorter. And so
Oh my God. It's just crazy. I don't know. Well, let's just talk a little bit about being at McDowell or Albee. Like, what's that like, being at these colonies or art foundations? Are they structured, and is it hard to?
It's hard. They're hard. I mean, so McDowell, I got into McDowell when I was like 30, and I lived in New Orleans at the time. And I think in a weird way that like when I applied, like I think being from somewhere not New York or Brooklyn was like an appealing factor. I don't know why they accepted me. I'd only published 2 short stories. And I think because I got in, I didn't even think it was a big deal. Like I thought if I got into McDowell, anybody could get into McDowell. I know, I didn't know what it was. I had no idea what it was. I love my lunchbox. And I mean, honestly, at the time, I had a boyfriend that thought I was going to break up with him. So he kind of ruined McDowell for me. Because he was just like, he's like, you're really going to stay for a month? Like, and I let him ruin McDowell for me. So that was stupid. You know what I mean? And I didn't know how, I've actually reapplied to McDowell twice and I haven't gone back in.
Wow. It's amazing.
It's a dreamy place. Like they bring you have you been or?
No, I applied, but I did not get in.
Well, I haven't been able to get back in. And when I got in, I didn't even know how special it was. It's really special. It's so great. There's a place that takes care of artists. Like I had a fireplace in my cabin. They brought lunch boxes in these really cute baskets to your door. They cook you dinner. You can have breakfast. You can order an all. It was just lovely. And I was scared of everybody because I was younger and I blew my time there, so yeah.
But you had the experience. So.
I do have the experience, and now I have it in my bio, which is pretty huge. Yeah. Actually, one of the things I need to do is I need to send them a book because they have this gorgeous library. And so that's what you do is you send your book to the library and then files can read it. It's on my list of things to do. And honestly, when I had Albee, the Edward Albee Foundation is about a mile away. It's in Montauk, and it's about a mile away from the beach. And I was in between books.
How could you get anything done?
I did not. In between books is the worst time for me. Like I thought, I'm going to go there and I'll start a new book. I have a really hard time starting books. I went to the beach every day.
I would have too.
The woman across the hall to me was like finishing a book, and I swear she didn't go to the beach for the first time until the second week there. To me, she was like from another planet. Yeah.
But you managed somehow.
I managed, and those are my two kind of. And I haven't. And then some people can swing it, but I have a kid now, and ever since I had a kid, and she's almost 13, they're just really not possible for me because I don't have a partner. So who's going to take care of my kid? So it's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Marcy, I think it has been so much fun. I hope you had fun.
Yeah, totally fun. See, and I'm telling you things at the end. I always tell personal things. So
I love that. I love that. And
yeah.
What's personal is always personal and professional. It's a blend,
Right.
and it's a wonderful book.
You know, this hour kind of flew by. So thank you.
It did, absolutely. And
Good.
it's interesting because we didn't have a lot of music because we didn't interview musicians, but
I love the Brazilian song you played in the beginning.
oh, wait till you see the video. But what we're going to go out with, since it's Carousel Day, and we love carousels, is it's old carousel music recorded by R.W. Emerson in 1955 while at the beach in San Francisco, Playland at the beach. And it's interesting, it was hand carved by master carver Charles I.D. Loof, and it could not be installed in San Francisco due to the earthquake of 1905 or 6. But it was installed at Luna Park in Seattle, moved to San Francisco. It was put in storage in New Mexico, and it moved to Long Beach, California. It was restored by the city of San Francisco, and 2014 renamed in honor of civil rights activist and former San Francisco Redevelopment Commissioner Leroy King. So this is some old carousel music.
Nice.
So go to it, Jade. Thank you so much, Marcy Dermansky.
It's been a pleasure.
Check out Hurricane Girl.
Okay.
And thanks for listening and watching Mia's World.
Okay.
Bye, Ginger.
Thanks.